Montreal and Edmonton have played in 2 consecutive games. As I'm joined by Mark Spector, you'd think they were preparing for a playoff series, and it might happen, but almost like they would meet in the first round. Despite the fact there have been no fans, would you say that on back-to-back nights, this has been the best atmosphere in this building?
Yeah, it really, really has, because it's so reminiscent of playoff hockey. And I both credit and blame the Montreal Canadiens for that, Gino. They come at the Oilers way more physical than any other team in the North. They come at them with way more obstruction and hooking and holding and slowing them down than any team that the Oilers have faced this season. And in the last 2 games we saw here, the referees have morphed right into playoff refereeing. They're letting the boys play down there, and when you put the total of all those things together, Gene, it looks very much like playoff hockey.
Well, 2 of the Oilers have got lots of attention, and they normally do, but not so much physically like Montreal does, where Leon and Connor, is there anything that they can really do other than maybe sort of just take care of themselves as much as they can?
This is a really good dress rehearsal for those 2 guys. Let's face it, they've only had 1 playoff run. They don't, the Draisaitl and McDavid are not playoff veterans, and they've acquitted themselves very, very well. We're not seeing 2 guys that are complaining, 2 guys that are wilting, 2 guys that are out on the perimeter. The Habs are throwing the kitchen sink at these guys. Shea Weber just abused Leon Draisaitl tonight. I thought the call that Leon Draisaitl got when he finally got a shot in on Edmondson was criminal. If anyone deserved to throw a body check tonight, it was Draisaitl. But I'll say this, McDavid and Draisaitl, they took a ton of abuse this week from Montreal, and they kept on coming. That's a good sign for the playoffs.
Well, you heard from coaches, we hear from Dave Tippett more often than not, that it really is a push to the finish. And when you see Montreal and Edmonton play the type of games they have this week, Mark, do you feel like all of these teams, the top 4, maybe top 5 in the North Division, are really prepping for the postseason?
Yeah, and it's a weird sort of a grouping. I mean, let's say we got 4 teams here. I know Vancouver's won a couple games, but let's say we got Toronto, we got Winnipeg, we got Edmonton and Montreal. And some teams are beating other teams. Edmonton does well against Winnipeg. They don't do so well against Montreal. Montreal, I would think if they took this style into games against Toronto, they should have good success against the Leafs, but they really haven't. So this is a real neat mix, these 4 teams, Gino. Good hockey, different styles, different lineups, different strengths. Some have goaltending. Leafs are struggling with theirs right now. I think when the playoff tournament comes, it's going to be a real fun couple of rounds up here in the North.
Yeah, this division is like the rest of the world, very unpredictable these days. One thing we can tell you is that Edmonton and Montreal will meet 2 more times at least in the regular season.